Chapter 81. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. T. Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Thud thud thud. Miao Qingyang was covered in injuries and blood splattered all over the ground in the dilapidated courtyard. He retreated more than 100 feet before he managed to stabilize himself. Immediately, he felt a pain in his chest. He staggered and knelt down weakly. Trying his best to support himself with his hands, he looked up with anger and resentment. Pei Ling killed my younger brother, messed up my state of mind and ruined my Dao heart. If I don't kill him, my inner demon will not go away and my path will be hopeless. This is an irreconcilable grudge. Why do you have to hold back? If you don't kill me, I'll kill Pei Ling. In the pavilion, Jiao Enai was still sitting quietly and doing her embroidery. The long hair that spread out behind her head covered the sky, almost blocking the entire courtyard. She said calmly, "You're unlucky. If Pei Ling had failed to absorb fire into his body just now, I wouldn't save him or stop you from killing him. But now that he has proven his value, how can I allow you to hurt him? But you're lucky too. The more unpolished you are, the more you need to be polished. A true genius life is never smooth sailing. Now that you and Pei Ling are mortal enemies, you will be a good whetstone. That's why I won't kill you. Now you have to swear 2 great oaths. Firstly, you must not leak what happened today. Secondly, you must not attack Pei Ling before he enters the inner sect." Miao Qingyang's expression was ferocious, and his seething resentment had reached boiling point. He was already prepared to die here. He could not help but be stunned when he heard this. He thought quickly and asked in a low voice, "So what happens after Pei Ling enters the inner sect?" "I won't interfere in a battle between people of the same realm, and neither will Master." Jiao Enai casually inserted the needle into the human skin and raised the embroidery hoop to take a closer look. She seemed to be checking for mistakes as she said indifferently, "If Pei Ling dies in your hands, it's because he's trash and not worthy of Master's attention. But he's still at the Qi refinement realm. Anyone above the foundation establishment realm will die if they touch him." Miao Qingyang's expression was dark. His inner demon had been nurtured since he heard of Miao Qingyan's death. The trip to the dream-sensing forest had alerted him and he was aware that his inner demon had begun to take shape. If he couldn't kill Pei Ling as soon as possible and resolve the emotional turmoil brought about by his younger brother's death, his inner demon would definitely grow stronger with time. When the time came, not only would it increase the possibility of him being devoured by it, but it would also affect all aspects of his cultivation. After a while, Miao Qingyang said coldly, "Since core disciple Li's attendant can threaten me, core disciple Zhou can also attack Xing. Miss Jiao Enai, are you really going to let the battle between the 2 core disciples escalate before core disciple Li comes out of seclusion? Can you bear the responsibility?" Jiao Enai put the embroidery hoop down and continued embroidering slowly without looking up. "The position of saintess will only belong to my master." Miao Qingyang's expression darkened for a moment before he suddenly said, "All right. I swear." He had no chance of winning against Jiao Enai. Even core disciple Zhou could not moderate the other party's attitude. At this moment, he could only lower his head. After all, if they continued to fight head-on, he would definitely die. Even if Miao Qingyang was not afraid of death, he did not want to lose his life for nothing. For Pei Ling to be valued by core disciple Li and even send a ghost maid to protect him at the Qi refinement realm, this is a treatment that Xing doesn't have. He thought expressionlessly, his talent is probably above my expectations. But wasn't I the #1 disciple in the outer sect back then? Otherwise, how could I have obtained the rare opportunity to enter the inner sect? I'm already at the late stage of the foundation establishment realm. After Pei Ling reaches the foundation establishment realm, I can personally avenge Qingyan. There's no need to die for no reason here. I'll let Pei Ling live until he enters the inner sect. At the thought of this, Miao Qingyang coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood. He raised one hand and swore 2 heart demon oaths according to Jiao Ni's request. Then he staggered and got up to leave. However, he could not approach the passageway that was not far away. "Miss Jiao and I, what are you doing?" Miao Qingyang's heart sank when he saw this. Jiao and I looked up at him with dark eyes. "Have some tea before you leave." "Tea?" Miao Qingyang was stunned. Then he looked at the bowl on the stone table that he did not dare to touch just now. "I appreciate your kindness, Mississippi." The corner of his eye twitched as he tried to refuse. "But I'm not thirsty now." Jiao and I focused on her embroidery as if she did not hear him. Miao Qingyang took a few more steps towards the passageway. Seeing that he still could not approach further, he knew that he could not leave without drinking that bowl of tea. His expression changed slightly. "This female ghost made me swear 2 oaths and said that she wanted me to be a whetstone for Pei Ling, that little bastard," Miao Qingyang thought quickly. "So even if there's a problem with this bowl of tea, it wouldn't kill me on the spot." He gritted his teeth and staggered to the pavilion to pick up the bowl of tea. The tea was dark and he could not see the bottom of the bowl. He got a fleeting glimpse of live creatures in the tea. However, as soon as Miao Qingyang touched the bowl, the water in it bubbled like boiling water, and several fingernail-sized blisters appeared. In each bubble, there was an eyeball that seemed to have just popped out. It was bloodshot and stared fixedly at him. Miao Qingyang could not help but freeze. He looked up at Jiao Ni and saw that the female ghost was looking at him calmly and coldly. Through the gaps in her black hair which covered the sky and earth behind her, he saw a huge mutated beast that was almost 10 stories tall holding a bloody thigh bone. It leaned out from behind the courtyard door and looked down with malice. Tick-tock, tick-tock. A few drops of blood slid down the thigh bone and dripped in front of Miao Qingyang. His expression changed drastically. He stared at the tea for a moment, made up his mind, raised his head, and drank it in one gulp. Then he quickly turned around and strode towards the passageway. This time, the passageway did not reject him. Soon Miao Qingyang returned to the bottom of the goo abyss. Before he could see his surroundings clearly, he fell to his knees, covered in sweat. He held his stomach and let out a miserable cry. A huge bone flower slowly bloomed behind Pei Ling, and countless white bone chains wrapped around him tightly. In front of him stood Ouyang Xianqing. An extremely cold palm gently touched his face. Ouyang Xianqing's face changed into Ouyang Xianmeng's. At this moment, the white bone chain tightened. At the same time, the chain began to absorb his qi, blood, and spiritual power. For a moment, it changed to Ouyang Xianqing's face. She was anxious to let Pei Ling go. "Senior sister, how are you?" Pei Ling was on the verge of death, but his expression was very calm. While Ouyang Xianqing had the upper hand, he asked, "Will something happen to you?" "I'll be fine. She can't do anything to me before she gets the armor." Ouyang Xianqing was stunned. She did not expect Pei Ling to still be thinking about her at a time like this. She suppressed the inexplicable emotions in her heart and said quickly, "I'll undo the bone flower for you now. Escape immediately, as far as you can, but don't get close to the east or southeast." Pei Ling said, "All right." Actually, he could have used the 100-mile evasion talisman given by Jing Jingshan to escape when he was attacked. However, Ouyang Xianqing had done her best for him. He could not escape alone without telling her. However, now that he understood the situation, it was useless to stay. He might lose his life. So, Pei Ling was about to activate the talisman when a familiar palace dress suddenly appeared in the air in front of him. P.S. Everyone, remember to vote after reading. Vote. Vote. Please collect. Please recommend votes. Please invest. Please spread. During the division of strength, there were all kinds of requests. Remember to click on the latest chapter. Chapter 82. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Clan Slaughter Order Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Jiao Ni. Why is she here? Pei Ling could not help but be startled. Ouyang Xianqing sensed something and was about to turn around when her expression changed drastically. It was Ouyang Xianmeng. The white bone chain rattled as it was about to strangle Pei Ling further. However, Jiao Ni only glanced at him quietly before the bone flower on Pei Ling's body withered silently. Ouyang Xianmeng was clearly stunned for a moment before she turned her head 180 degrees. However, before she could see what was behind her, Jiao Ni pointed at her from afar. Her head turned back with a crack and she fell to the ground with a bang. Pei Ling tore off the remaining bone flower and the chains on his body and threw them away. He hurriedly stepped forward to thank her. "Thank you, Miss Jiao Ni." Jiao Ni glanced at him calmly. The black hair on the back of her head suddenly grew longer and wrapped itself around him and Ouyang Xianqing. Pei Ling did not have the time to ask anything before he fell into a daze. He did not know what he had experienced. When he came back to his senses, he was already at the entrance of Kalan Courtyard. Beside him was the Netherworld coffin girl and Ouyang Xianqing, who had fainted on the coffin lid. As for Jiao Ni, she was long gone. He composed himself and checked that Ouyang Xianqing was still alive before knocking on the door. After a while, Zheng Jingshan summoned a female disciple to take Ouyang Xianqing away. "What exactly is going on?" "Senior brother Zheng, that Shuang was originally Miao Qingyang's man. And Fang Ji, after Miao Qingyang appeared, he also." Pei Ling hurriedly explained the general situation. Zheng Jingshan was furious when he heard this. Before he could finish, he interrupted. Miao Qingyang, the master of a faction, actually personally chased after an outer sect disciple. How shameless. There's also Shuang. This bastard. He only reached the Foundation establishment realm by luck back then. His situation in the inner sect was difficult, and it was difficult for him to move forward. If I hadn't been soft-hearted back then and taken him under my wing, whether he could survive until now would be a question. He actually did such a thing. You said that you refined him into an external demon of the blood malevolent saber art. Well done. Even if this ungrateful thing didn't die in your hands, I would have personally killed him upon his return. As for Fang Ji. At the mention of this cultivator who cultivated both medicine and poison, Zheng Jingshan's expression darkened for a moment before he continued to scold. Back then, I nurtured him in every way possible. Even his spectral locust was specially obtained by me. I didn't expect this bastard to be so afraid of death. He deserved to die. His heart ached. It was one thing for Fang Ji to die, but that spectral locust had the potential to become the spectral locust king. He had thought that Fang Ji would definitely be able to nurture it, and it would save him a lot of effort. He did not expect his junior brother to be so useless. After calming down, Zheng Jingshan continued to ask, "Then how did you escape?" "When Miao Qingyang was about to attack, he suddenly disappeared," Pei Ling said truthfully. "Previously, senior sister Ouyang opened the Netherworld coffin girl to save me. Not long after we escaped from the skeletal crane swamp, senior sister suddenly transformed into the face of the girl in the coffin and wanted to kill me. Fortunately, Miss Jiao Ni appeared at the critical moment and stopped senior sister before sending us back here. I think Miao Qingyang was also taken away by Miss Jiao Ni." Zheng Jingshan nodded secretly when he heard this. He knew it. Since Pei Ling was a genius that senior sister had taken a fancy to, how could she not have made arrangements? He asked expectantly, "Is Miao Qingyang dead?" "Senior brother, I don't know either," Pei Ling said. After he suddenly disappeared, he did not appear again. Then I was brought back to the entrance of Kalan Courtyard by Miss Jiao Ni. Zheng Jingshan felt a little regretful. Not to mention the grudge between him and Miao Qingyang, the key was that double mulberry faction was in decline now. If Miao Qingyang died now, Clear River faction would be defenseless. It might be a chance for his faction to take advantage of the situation and recover. However, now that he could not confirm Miao Qingyang's life or death, it was not appropriate to attack. Alright, I roughly understand. After quickly surmising in his heart, Jing Jingshan looked up and said amiably, Junior Brother Pei, I didn't control my subordinates well this time and made a fool of myself in front of you. Fortunately, Senior Sister sent Miss Jiao and I to make sure you were safe. Pei Ling hurriedly said, Senior Brother, you're being too serious. If not for your nurturing, how could I have the chance to obtain the cold marrow fire? I'll never forget your kindness. Seeing his grateful look, Zheng Jingshan smiled and said, Forget it, I'll handle this matter. How about this? You've just returned from the Gu Abyss and have just absorbed fire into your body. You should rest and recuperate first. Don't go back to the outer sect first, just in case. I'll get someone to tidy up a room for you to stay for the time being. After getting his attendant to take Pei Ling to his room, Jing Jingshan pondered for a moment before standing up to leave the small courtyard. After some time, the disheveled Miao Qingyang returned to his residence. The inner sect disciple who stayed behind could not help but be shocked to see the branch master covered in wounds and blood. He hurriedly went forward to support him. Branch master. How did branch master become like this? The medical cultivator disciple who arrived later was also stunned. As he treated him, he asked in confusion, did something happen in the Gu Abyss? Miao Qingyang's expression darkened. He did not answer this question but instructed, get 2 people to Deer Spring City and slaughter the Pei family. Didn't Jiao and I ask him to swear not to attack Pei Ling before he entered the inner sect? However, he did not promise not to attack the other members of the Pei clan. After Miao Qingyan's death, he had learned about Pei Ling's family when he was investigating the murderer. Although Pei Ling's biological mother had passed away early, his biological father was still alive. There were also his siblings, as well as many clansmen who had grown up together. Even if this little bastard did not have as deep a relationship with his brothers as he did with Qingyan, how could anyone not have any feelings for their family? Moreover, Pei Ling had only entered the sect for a few days. His time in the Deep Sea sect was not long enough for him to forget the Pei family. If he massacred Pei Ling's entire family, it would be impossible for him not to be affected. The reason why core disciple Li sent Jiao and I to protect Pei Ling was that she valued this little bastard's talent. If Pei Ling was crippled, would core disciple Li continue to support him? At the thought of this, Miao Qingyang added, don't kill them all at once. Leave a few who are close to him and teach them well. Bring them back to the sect secretly. I have a use for them. After all, he had witnessed Pei Ling's determination when the fire entered his body. If he did not fall apart at the grievous news of his family being slaughtered, or if he pulled himself together after that. It was better to leave a few people behind to upset him from time to time. If you want me to be a whetstone for that little bastard. Miao Qingyang sneered in his heart. I'll let that little bastard's Dao heart be covered in dust before he reaches the Foundation establishment realm. It'll forever be difficult for him to advance. Chapter 83 You are listening at novelfull.audio. In Dongmeng Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The 2 disciples of Clear River faction looked at each other, but they did not dare to refute. They lowered their heads and agreed. However, not long after they went away, a white-robed cultivator rushed over. Branch Master, I heard that you want to get someone to slaughter the Pei family in Deer Spring City. Dongmeng. When Miao Qingyang saw this cultivator, he nodded slightly and said, that's right, there is such a thing. The white-robed cultivator, In Dongmeng, sized him up and suddenly waved his hand to set up a barrier to prevent prying. He said in a low voice, Branch Master, forgive me for being blunt, but this is not appropriate. Miao Qingyang frowned. It was not that he did not like him for disobeying him, but he did not understand. Why not? The Pei family in Deer Spring City is insignificant. Killing them is a small matter. Moreover, he pondered for a moment and hinted tactfully, although their eldest son, Pei Hongnian, is a good for nothing, Pei Ling, who has just entered the sect, is talented and has been hanging out with Jing Jingshan. If slaughtering the Pei family now can make Pei Ling's Dao heart suffer a setback, it will be a good thing for core disciple Zhou. Therefore, even if Pei Ling uses his connection to beg core disciple Li for help regarding the massacre of his family, core disciple Zhou will bear the pressure. Then what's the problem with slaughtering the Pei family? Branch Master. In Dongmeng lowered his voice and reminded him softly, no matter how talented this Pei Ling is, he's only a small outer sect disciple who has just entered the sect. As for you, you have a late-stage foundation establishment cultivation. The branch master of Clear River faction personally went to hunt him down. Not only did you fail, but you were also injured. If this matter gets out, it's fine if others discuss it, but what will core disciple Zhou think? The reason why core disciple Zhou is willing to support us is because branch master has been suppressing Jing Jingshan since he was an outer sect disciple. If he finds out that you actually suffered a loss at the hands of a mere outer sect disciple like Pei Ling, no matter how you suffered, will core disciple Zhou still value Clear River faction as much as before? Miao Qingyang was stunned when he heard this. His expression changed as he explained, I didn't lose to Pei Ling, but... It was difficult to say anything about Jiao and I after swearing an inner demon oath. At this moment, as he was thinking about how to phrase his words, he heard In Dongmeng say, Branch Master, this is not about whether you lost to Pei Ling. The difference in cultivation, identity, and status between you and Pei Ling is huge. Even if he flees from you in a sorry state, he will become famous from the battle. And if you kill him with 2 additional punches, it's something he can be proud of. Moreover, you didn't manage to kill him. So you have to hide the fact that you personally went to the Gu Abyss to hunt down Pei Ling. We must not slaughter the Pei family in Deer Spring City. The entire Pei family is insignificant, but killing them won't kill Pei Ling. It's equivalent to telling everyone that the branch master can't do anything to Pei Ling now and can only vent his anger on his family. Wouldn't this damage the branch master's dignity for no reason and make Pei Ling famous? He said in a low voice, it just so happens that Jing Jingshan came to provoke you previously to create a diversion. At that time, you got someone to tell him that you were in seclusion. In that case, the branch master has never left this place, much less chased after Pei Ling. The reason why the branch master was injured was because he was careless in his cultivation and suffered some damage. He would recover after resting for a few days. Whoever said that they saw you in the Gu Abyss was deliberately framing the Clear River faction. Branch Master, if we don't do this, once we lose our status in front of core disciple Zhou, where will our Clear River faction go? Because of Jing Jingshan, the current core disciples of the Holy Sect will definitely not accept us. As for core disciple Su, he will definitely not rashly get involved in the battle for the position of the next saintess. So we have no choice. We can only follow core disciple Zhou. So how can we let core disciple Zhou misunderstand our Clear River faction and think that we can't even deal with an outer sect disciple? The muscles on Miao Qingyang's face twitched. His expression changed for a while before he said dejectedly. You're right. I was rash. I'll get them to come back now. Seeing that he was willing to listen to his advice, In Dongmeng secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He consoled him a little and said, however, Branch Master only wants to mess up Pei Ling's state of mind. Actually, there's no need for us to do it ourselves. After all, when I was investigating this person previously, I realized that although he's a descendant of the Pei family, because his biological mother passed away early and his stepmother suppresses him, even his father is not very close to him. His stepmother, in particular, is bent on wanting her biological son, Pei Tu, to surpass Pei Ling. However, Pei Tu is still in Deer Spring City. Pei Ling was accidentally brought to the holy sect. That woman is jealous and narrow-minded. I'm afraid she already hates Pei Ling to the core. As long as she gets a chance, she will see to it that Pei Ling comes to no good end. There's also Pei Hongnian. He's the eldest son that the Pei family has placed high hopes on for many years. In the end, he has been relying on Jing Jingshan for many years and has never been placed in an important position. As for Pei Ling, he has only been in the sect for a few days, but Jing Jingshan has already nurtured him personally. It's one thing if Pei Hongnian doesn't know about this, but if he does, will he be willing to accept it? I heard that Pei Hongnian is a good .4. Nothing. Miao Qingyang pondered and said, I'm afraid that even if he has any objection, he can't do anything to that little bastard, Pei Ling. Yin Dongmeng smiled. Branch Master, although Pei Hongnian is trash, don't forget that the outer sect female disciple he's infatuated with is not easy to deal with. The two of them looked at each other and relaxed. At this moment, the puppet attendant was in a quiet room specially prepared for Pei Ling in the Kalan courtyard. Pei Ling consumed the healing pills Jing Jingshan had given him and had almost fully recovered. He then carefully checked the herbs and the furnace in front of him. After confirming that there was nothing missing, he called the system in his mind. System, I want to refine pills. System. Ding Dong, Smart Cultivation System is sincerely at your service. At this moment, Pei Ling was still very relaxed. After all, he was in Kalan courtyard and had Jing Jingshan to take care of everything. Meanwhile, his cultivation level had reached the 6th level of Qi refinement and he had an 8th grade immortal fire. He could refine at least 10 furnaces with his spiritual power this time. He calculated the price of each batch of pills based on 12 bone tempering pills per batch. One bone tempering pill was worth 55 inferior grade spirit stones, which added up to a total of 6,600 inferior grade spirit stones. After deducting the cost of materials and the protection fee he planned to give Jing Jingshan, that was. Before he could finish his thought, a familiar sense of fatigue overwhelmed him. Pei Ling's expression changed. Why is the consumption of the cold marrow fire so high? Before he finished refining the first batch of pills, he had already lost half of his spiritual power. The system did not react to his doubts and focused on processing the herbs. It could be seen that because of the change to a better immortal fire, the system's processing of various materials this time was more meticulous. The quality of the medicinal liquid that went into the furnace was also better. However, Pei Ling was on tenterhooks as he felt the rapid consumption of his physical and spiritual energy. He felt that the situation was different from what he had imagined. After a while, the first batch of pills was finally refined. At this moment, Pei Ling was already sweating profusely. He had never worked so hard even when he first started refining pills. Ding dong, at this moment, the system stopped what it was doing. Host's spiritual force is insufficient. This management cultivation session is over. Thank you for using the smart cultivation system. You have ascended without a worry with a single click. I look forward to you sharing your cultivation evaluation. If you are satisfied, please give me a 5-star rating. Pei Ling felt dizzy when he regained control of his body. If not for the fact that he held on to the furnace handle in time, he would have fallen. The feeling of emptiness in his meridians that he had not felt for a long time made him feel especially uncomfortable. Pei Ling couldn't care less as he hurriedly went forward to open the furnace. As soon as he took a look, he was stunned. There were only 2 bone tempering pills in this furnace. Chapter 84 You are listening at novelfull.audio. Profiteer Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The furnace that Jing Jingshan had prepared was naturally much better than the D-grade alchemy room that Pei Ling had rented on Elixir Peak. However, at this moment, not only were there 2 pitiful bone tempering pills lying at the bottom of the huge furnace, but even the pill fragrance that lingered in the room when they were first produced had disappeared. Pei Ling's expression could not help but darken. Did I miss anything? Did the system refine a defective product this time? However, when he picked up the 2 bone tempering pills and observed them carefully, he saw that the pills were emitting a faint glow. The color was not grayish-white, but milky white. The crystal clear feeling was even stronger. There were circles of azure patterns on the surface that looked like cat's eyes. This made Pei Ling hesitate. They don't seem like useless pills. As Zheng Jingshan was not around, Pei Ling could not find anyone to ask. After thinking for a while, he decided to cultivate first. Anyway, he did not lack 1 or 2 bone tempering pills now. It did not matter even if he failed. At the thought of this, Pei Ling called out in his mind, "System, I want to cultivate the bone forging art." Ding dong, the system quickly went online. Next was the familiar control of the body. The smart cultivation system is at your service. Bone tempering pill is missing. Please wait a moment. Ding dong, the system will give you the bone tempering pill for free. The system controlled Pei Ling's body to grab the bone tempering pill in the furnace. Pei Ling watched worriedly. There were too few pills this time. I wonder if it's enough. However, on second thought, this was Kalan Courtyard, Zheng Jingshan's residence. This senior brother Zheng must also have bone tempering pills. If it was not enough, the system would find them on its own. In any case, his relationship with Zheng Jingshan was no longer the same as before. At most, he would refine a few furnaces to make up for it after he finished cultivating. At the thought of this, he felt relieved. Unexpectedly, the system only grabbed a bone tempering pill from the bottom of the furnace and stuffed it into his mouth. Ding dong. The bone tempering pill has been gifted. Continue cultivating now. Why only 1? Pei Ling could not help but be stunned. System, are you broken? Are both its alchemy and cultivation functions malfunctioning? Just as he was feeling worried, after consuming this bone tempering pill, a ball of fire rose from his dantian. A huge medicinal power quickly surged to his limbs and bones. Pei Ling felt as if his entire body was on fire. The cold marrow fire that he had just subdued was stirring in his eyes, glowing with a faint blue light. At this moment, the system began to cultivate the bone forging art. The silent room was instantly filled with the sound of bones breaking and regenerating, making one's teeth ache and muscles go weak. With the experience of absorbing fire into his body, this kind of pain was already common to Pei Ling. He sensed carefully and could not help but be surprised. His bone honing speed was so fast. If he used a superior-grade bone tempering pill to temper his bones like a flowing stream, the spiritual power in his body was like a surging river. It crushed the bones that had yet to turn into jade in front of it in a matter-of-fact manner and then nourished them at an extremely fast speed. This cultivation session lasted twice as long as before. The system was still ringing in his ears. This cultivation session is over. Thank you for using the smart cultivation system. You have ascended without a worry with a single click. I look forward to you sharing your cultivation evaluation. If you are satisfied, please give me a 5-star rating. Pei Ling regained his mobility. He first gave the system a 3-star rating before stretching his muscles. He realized that the pain in his meridians caused by the drying up of his spiritual power had long disappeared. His entire body was filled with power. The injuries he had suffered in the skeletal crane swamp had long recovered. With a slight push, one could see that his muscles were filled with spiritual energy. He was full of energy and could not be in a better state. After a careful inspection, he realized that there were not many foreign objects expelled from his pores during this cultivation. Pei Ling was shocked. This furnace had only produced 2 bone tempering pills, but one of them was actually more effective than more than a dozen superior-grade bone tempering pills. No wonder the system only took 1 for him this time. If it was like before, it would use as much as it could. His body probably could not withstand it at all. Just from this cultivation, his cultivation level that had improved greatly had reached another milestone. Although there was still a long way to go before he could break through to the 7th level of qi refinement, it still excited Pei Ling. He packed up a little and continued refining pills. A day and night passed in the blink of an eye. When dawn broke, Pei Ling fell to the ground, panting slightly, but his face was filled with joy. In front of him were 2 porcelain bottles, each containing 10 bone-tempering pills. One of them was for Jing Jingshan to sell, while the other was for his own use. If he used up all 10 bone-tempering pills, his cultivation level would definitely improve greatly. With that, 70% of qi refinement was just around the corner. O.org system cultivation was simply a divine artifact. Other than being more troublesome, there were no other flaws. Pei Ling silently gave the system a thumbs up in his heart before giving it a 1-star rating. He put away a bottle of pills and was about to rest when a puppet servant reported that Jing Jingshan had returned. Senior brother. Pei Ling hurriedly went out. You're back. Jing Jingshan looked exhausted. As soon as he sat down, he picked up the spiritual tea served by the attendant and took a big sip before saying, Junior brother Pei, fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. I've already discussed the sale and price with Elder Chiu. So this senior brother went out yesterday to find a buyer for the superior-grade bone-tempering pills. Pei Ling hurriedly said that he had worked hard and asked about the outcome. Elder Chiu is one of the elders of my inner sect's disciplinary hall. Jing Jingshan smiled slightly, looking rather pleased with himself. In terms of combat strength, he's considered second to none among the inner sect elders. It's just that this elder's family background is not good. He has only one descendant. Moreover, his descendants have very mediocre talent for 2 generations and have long died of old age. The person he's raising now is his only surviving great-grandson, Chiu Song. He's only 6 years old, and he needs a large number of superior-grade bone-tempering pills to build his foundation. At this point, he paused for a moment before continuing, I've already discussed it with him. 70 inferior-grade spirit stones for a superior-grade bone-tempering pill. He'll take as many as he wants. 70 inferior-grade spirit stones. Pei Ling was stunned. When I sold them to the 100 Treasures Pavilion previously, they gave me 55 inferior-grade spirit stones. Jing Jingshan was not surprised by this. He chuckled and said, that's the 100 Treasures Pavilion's cost price, so it's naturally low. If they sell a superior-grade bone-tempering pill, it will definitely not be less than 100 inferior-grade spirit stones. I'm already giving Elder Chiu face by selling the pill at 70 inferior-grade spirit stones to him. Indeed, there was no harm in building a good relationship with an inner sect elder. As Pei Ling was thinking this, he heard Jing Jingshan say, after all, junior brother, you've already sold a batch of superior-grade bone-tempering pills to the 100 Treasures Pavilion. If we sell them at too high a price now, perhaps Elder Chiu would rather buy them from the 100 Treasures Pavilion. There's a discount for inner sect elders there. When this batch of the bone-tempering pills is consumed, we'll raise the price again. At that time, it will be 120 inferior-grade spirit stones per pill. 120 inferior-grade spirit stones. Isn't this daylight robbery? No, with my efficiency in refining pills, robbery might not even be able to fetch spirit stones so quickly. What kind of rich and stupid cultivator would buy at this price? Then will Elder Chiu accept the price? Pei Ling asked nervously. Jing Jingshan smiled disdainfully and said, he has to accept it even if he doesn't want to. He only has one great-grandson. If he doesn't spend spirit stones on Chiu Song, who else can he spend them on? Moreover, there are other alchemists in the sect who can refine superior-grade bone-tempering pills. The problem is that it will delay their refinement of highly priced pills. Elder Chiu does have connections, but he can't push the price too low. And he'll be owing favors. So, 120 inferior. Grade spirit stones. Pei Ling heaved a sigh of relief and smiled sincerely. He was relieved that the profits were so high. In this kind of netherworld sect, the friendship between fellow disciples was fleeting. They might not have good intentions, but benefits would not lie. Now that they had just started working together, Zheng Jingshan even schemed against an inner sect elder. In the future, if anyone wanted to touch him, Zheng Jingshan would definitely not sit back and do nothing. It didn't matter if he was a junior brother or not. Being a money tree was the most important thing. He pondered for a moment and asked, "Senior brother Zheng, then how should we split the spirit stones?" Chapter 85. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stone Realm Faction Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, I want 70%, Zheng Jingshan said without hesitation. I'll prepare the materials for you. You only need to be in charge of refining pills. Moreover, I have to hand over at least half of the profits to Senior Sisterly, so it has to be 70%, no less. No problem. Pei Ling agreed without much thought. After all, his main goal in finding Zheng Jingshan was not to earn spirit stones, but to find a backer. Zheng Jingshan's price was very high. After deducting the cost of the herbs, even if he did not consider the price increase in the future, he could earn 21 inferior. Grade spirit stones with one bone tempering pill. Based on his timeline, he would be able to meet the fine payment deadline. To a person like Zheng Jingshan who lived in seclusion. Alright, he might not want Pei Ling, but he still wanted to save him. In short, stability was the most important. Elder Chiu wants the bone tempering pills today. How much have you refined during this period? Zheng Jingshan nodded slightly and asked. Pei Ling felt awkward when he heard this. He took out the 10 newly refined bone tempering pills and braced himself. Senior brother Zheng, I just came out of the goo abyss and am not in a good state, so I only refined these. Zheng Jingshan frowned. Only 10. Does this mean that junior brother Pei has only refined one furnace after so long? He was not satisfied and casually poured out the pills to check the quality. Just as he was about to lecture Pei Ling, his pupils constricted when his gaze landed on the 10 bone tempering pills. This. Supreme. Grade bone tempering pills. Zheng Jingshan suspected that he had seen wrongly. He forced himself to calm down and raised one of the pills in front of him to identify it carefully. The color was pure, so pure that it had already deviated from the original grayish white color of the bone tempering pill and appeared milky white. It was crystal clear and looked like glass. There was also an indescribable lightness and purity. In particular, the azure patterns on the surface of the pill seemed to be shackles that locked the treasure inside. Even if he put it under his nose, there was no smell of medicine, let alone pill fragrance. This was definitely a supreme. Grade bone tempering pill. Zheng Jingshan's hands trembled slightly, but he did not dare to relax. He even took out a dagger and gently scraped off some powder. Almost instantly, an incomparably domineering pill fragrance filled the room. Junior brother Pei, you're really a genius. Zheng Jingshan did not hesitate to form 2 hand seals. Seeing that the bone tempering pill in his hand did not change, his originally calm face was flushed. He looked up excitedly and said, "You actually refined a supreme. Grade bone tempering pill." A supreme. Grade bone tempering pill. Pei Ling's heart skipped a beat. He had used the system to refine pills and did not know much about pills. At this moment, when he heard Zheng Jingshan's tone, he could not help but take the opportunity to ask, "Senior brother, then I wonder how this supreme. Grade bone tempering pill compares to the superior. Grade bone tempering pills I refined previously. How can a supreme. Grade bone tempering pill be compared to a superior. Grade one?" Zheng Jingshan said without hesitation. He was extremely excited. Although the supreme. Grade bone tempering pill was only a step above the superior. Grade bone tempering pill, the two were as different as heaven and earth. There was no pill fragrance because the medicinal properties were completely locked in the pill and did not leak out at all. It was not only the bone-tempering pill. All supreme grade pills were the same. When the impurities in the medicinal properties were not completely removed and the refinement process did not balance the properties of the various herbs, the pills that were produced had a strange smell and were all inferior grade. When the handling of the materials was proficient and the refinement conformed with the standards, the pills produced had a pure medicinal fragrance and were middle grade. When the medicinal properties were refined and stimulated extremely well, the pills produced had rich medicinal fragrance and were superior grade. As for the supreme grade pill, it was produced at its natural state without a trace of smell. This meant that the medicinal properties were pure and flawless, and the alchemy skills were at the peak of perfection. All the medicinal effects were condensed into this pill, and it could be said to be perfect. Supreme grade bone tempering pill. And there were 10. Jing Shan slowly exhaled and looked at Pei Ling solemnly. He thought to himself, even if an alchemy master in the sect can guarantee stability when refining superior grade bone tempering pills, refining supreme grade bone tempering pills is very rare. After all, the entire process has to be perfect. There can't be any mistakes. Any small mistake will cause the quality of the pills to drop. How discerning is Senior Sister to be able to tell that Pei Ling stands out from the many mediocre people in Deer Spring City. Seeing that Jing Shan was silent, Pei Ling waited for a while and could not help but ask, how many spirit stones can it be sold for? Supreme grade pills can only be chanced upon by luck, Jing Shan said generously. If the bone forging art can be combined with a supreme grade bone tempering pill, the possibility of cultivating supreme grade iron bones, supreme grade essence bones, and supreme grade jade bones will greatly increase. This is of extraordinary significance to those cultivation families with deep foundations. In order to perfect the foundation of their disciples, they are willing to pay any price. If I sell it to Elder Chiu for 500 inferior grade spirit stones each, he probably won't even blink. However, this is a supreme grade bone tempering pill. It's not worth selling it for 500 spirit stones. I'm going to the market outside the sect to have it appraised and auctioned. Only then will it not be an insult to the supreme grade bone tempering pill. Just as he said this, a disciple outside the courtyard asked to see him. Jing Shan frowned slightly and stopped talking. He opened the array formation and a male cultivator came in to report anxiously, Branch Master, a senior sister from the Stone Realm faction has come to visit. I understand. Jing Shan's expression turned cold when he heard this. He said, tell her that I've just finished cultivating and will be there soon. Immediately after, he got Pei Ling to say, go back to the outer sect immediately and look for me in a month. Pei Ling was shocked. Senior brother, why? Your cold marrow fire was originally designated by the Stone Realm Branch Master to cleanse his cousin's foundation, Jing Shan said. However, I used my senior sister's name to accept the mission first. The Stone Realm faction must have just received the news and came to question me. In other words, the other party is not here for me but for you. Holy *T. Pei Ling was completely speechless. It was fine if the resources gifted by the system were unlimited, but why was senior brother Zhang's nurturing so toxic? He quickly said, but Miao Qingyang still has. I will bear the burden of this matter for you. However, this way, there will be a fierce battle. Jing Shan interrupted him. Your cultivation level is too low. Staying in the inner sect will distract me, so you should leave as soon as possible. He continued, as for Miao Qingyang, since Miss Jiao and I has already taken action, this must be senior sister's idea. Regardless of whether Miao Qingyang is dead or alive, or what Li Siguang and Zhou Yi's families think, senior sister's interference means that this matter ends here. Unless they want to officially declare war on senior sister. In short, don't worry. As long as you don't cause trouble again, no one in the outer sect will dare to touch you. Why does it feel like this backer is not too reliable? Pei Ling was worried, but he did not dare to say anything else. After all, in Zheng Jingshan's eyes, he did not care about life and death in order to pursue the great Tao. That was why he was treated differently by the other party. If he hesitated too much at this moment and aroused the other party's dissatisfaction and suspicion, what if he lost his only backer? Hence, Pei Ling thanked him and asked Zheng Jingshan for an alchemy furnace and spirit stones to purchase alchemy materials. He followed the other party's instructions and left quietly from the back door of the small courtyard. Chapter 86. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Ji Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios Outer Sect. Shady Sephora Peak. In an exquisite courtyard, there was a small pond in front of the door. There was a kind of water lily that emitted a faint rainbow color. Under the lotus leaves, the mutant scaly koi swam past happily. The flowers by the pool were brightly colored, and the plants were lush. Sun Yinglan had her hair tied up into a bun and was wearing a jade hairpin. She was wearing a light yellow dress. After sitting by the zither, her slender fingers plucked the red strings gently. There were more than 10 outer sect disciples sitting or standing around her. All of them were staring at her with admiration. After a while, the song ended. Pei Hongnian hurriedly led the applause. Junior Sister Yinglan's zither skills have truly reached perfection. How is it just perfection? This song should only exist in the heavens. How many times can you hear it in the mortal world? The other bootlickers were not willing to fall behind and praised her, one after another. Their flattery was obvious. Sun Yinglan covered her mouth and chuckled as she watched them fight to win her favor. She looked charming, but she was rather bored. Fourth stage Qi refinement, fourth stage Qi refinement, and fourth stage Qi refinement. Trash. They're all trash. None of them are really useful. Why is there a third stage Qi refinement? Oh, I remember now. This kid has an uncle in the inner sect who bought me a lot of things previously. Forget it then. I'll play along first. And this second stage Qi refinement cultivator. TSK, his boots are already broken, but he can't bear to change them. What a poor fellow. He has only given me 2 low-grade talismans so far. How boring. However, it said that his aptitude is not bad. In the future, he might be able to build his foundation. Forget it, I'll fish for now. I'll ask him out for tea alone in 2 days. I'll use the inferior grade spiritual tea that Pei Hongnian gave me 2 days ago. That tea is really useless. It's best to use it as a favor. This fifth stage Qi refinement cultivator is not bad, but he's too old. Sigh, with my looks and talent, how can these people afford to have me? When will I have the chance to let those real dragons and phoenixes see me? Sun Yinglan could not be bothered to listen to the flattery of the group of bootlickers. She plucked the strings disinterestedly and thought absent-mindedly, it's a pity that Pei Hongnian, this piece of trash, is disappointing. I asked him to introduce me to senior brother Zheng of the inner sect, but he refused. Serves him right for making talismans for me these days without sleep or rest. No, even if a cultivator is young, if this continues, even if I marry a good person, I'm afraid I'll delay my cultivation time. What if I can't reach the foundation establishment realm? At the thought of this, Sun Yinglan glanced at Pei Hongnian calmly and decided to use both soft and hard methods to force this bastard to introduce a promising cultivator to her. Junior Sister Yinglan. At this moment, a male cultivator came up to her with a fawning expression and said, I saw a patch of fox-faced peach blossoms on Ghost Willow Peak 2 days ago. They're in full bloom now. They look as beautiful as clouds. Before he could finish, the array formation in the small courtyard suddenly shook. As the owner, Sun Yinglan immediately sensed it and could not help but be shocked. She formed hand seals and shouted, "Who is being impudent here?" Hearing this, the male cultivators were agitated and could not wait to show off. Who dares to be rude to junior sister Inglan? They're simply courting death. Some even took out their weapons on the spot and rushed to the courtyard door aggressively. You. Sun Inglan frowned slightly. She had many fans in the outer sect, but she had never paid attention to or offended those she could not afford to offend. Therefore, although she was not favored by female cultivators, she had never been attacked. She was not in a good mood at the moment. Seeing that her protectors had already rushed forward and opened the array formation in the small courtyard, she was about to berate the person. Unexpectedly, when he saw everyone holding blades against him, not only did he not dodge and escape, he even staggered slightly. He casually pulled out the long sword on his back and waved it casually. Several red-eyed crow spirits appeared out of thin air and let out a cry. The group of cultivators immediately felt their hands and feet go numb as they fell to the ground. What a high cultivation level. I'm afraid he's almost at the Foundation establishment realm. Sun Inglan was also attacked. When she fell, even the jade hairpin on her hair bun broke. However, she was not angry. She was secretly shocked. How could I have offended such a senior brother? She quickly got up and tidied up her dress, followed by her hair. She walked forward gracefully and said timidly, "Senior brother, is there a misunderstanding?" The cultivator elegantly sheathed his sword and interrupted her with a wave of his hand. He sized her up from head to toe, his gaze lingering on her ample chest for a moment before he said lazily, "Your Sun Inglan." Sun Inglan was delighted instead of angry. She became even more timid and said sweetly, "Senior brother, I am." Unexpectedly, the cultivator nodded and did not look at her again. Instead, he asked, "Where's Pei Hongnian? Is he here?" Hearing this, everyone present, including Sun Inglan, could not help but be stunned. Sun Inglan subconsciously looked at Pei Hongnian, only to see that this bootlicker was also at a loss. He carefully stepped forward and bowed. "Senior brother, I'm Pei Hongnian. May I know what instructions you have?" As Pei Hongnian said this, he secretly looked at Sun Inglan. Seeing that his junior sister was looking at him in a daze, he knew that she was afraid. He immediately felt a surge of courage and subconsciously moved to stand in front of her. He mustered his courage and said, "Senior brother, if junior sister Inglan has offended you in any way, please forgive her on account of her youth and ignorance. If there's any punishment, I'm willing to bear it on behalf of junior sister Inglan. Sun Inglan. If not for the fact that the senior brother with a powerful cultivation level was in front of her, she would have grabbed Pei Hongnian's collar and slapped him a few times to wake him up. "Senior brother, ignore him." Sun Inglan immediately pushed him away and smiled sweetly at the cultivator. She said coquettishly, "I'm actually not familiar with him. It's just that we're all at Shady Sephora Peak, so it's not good to be too cold. Oh right, may I ask why senior brother is looking for me?" As she said the last sentence, she lowered her voice and stole a glance at the cultivator. She rubbed her clothes vigorously, acting like a shy child. The cultivator looked at her and Pei Hongnian and sneered. "It's you guys." Then his expression darkened. "Get lost. I have something to tell Sun Inglan in private." The male cultivators hesitated. Especially Pei Hongnian. Before he could protect Sun Inglan behind him again, Sun Inglan pushed him out of the door. "Didn't you hear what this senior brother said? Hurry up and get lost. I've always been polite to you, but are you not done?" Without waiting for him to speak to the others, she activated the array formation and chased everyone out. Instantly, only she and that cultivator were left in the courtyard. Sun Inglan suppressed her desire to curry favor with him and put on a coy expression. She said softly, "Senior brother, may I know your name?" The cultivator stammered, "My name is Li Ji. I'm a disciple from Elegance Peak." My cousin, In Dongmeng, is a disciple of the inner sect's Clear River faction. Sun Yinglan's eyes could not help but light up. Just as she was about to speak, Li Ji suddenly raised his hand and pulled her into his arms. This senior brother Li is indeed interested in me. Sun Yinglan could not help but be overjoyed. However, when she saw his hands enter her clothes, she hesitated. Isn't it too fast? After all, it was rare to meet a male cultivator with a high cultivation level and an inner sect background. She did not want to be toyed with. As the saying goes, what's easy to obtain will not be cherished. Why don't I pretend to be afraid by pushing him away? Shall I try to make him make some promises or even give him some benefits on the spot? No, no, no. What if this makes Li Ji unhappy? Sun Yinglan hesitated. Her slender hands were on Li Ji's arm, and she could not make up her mind. However, Li Ji did not stand on ceremony. He sat cross-legged on the spot and pressed her down on his lap, wantonly kneading her graceful curves. As he was enjoying it, he said with a faint smile, "Go find Pei Hongnian's younger brother, Pei Ling, later. Try to seduce him to cultivate with you. Remember, you must let Pei Hongnian know about this, understand?" Sun Yinglan, who thought that she had found a rich husband, was speechless. Chapter 87. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Temperamental Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, seduce. Seduce Pei Ling. Sun Yinglan was stunned. She could not believe her ears. Her smile froze as she looked at Li Ji in disbelief. Li Ji had a lazy look on his face while his hands did not stop moving. He said, "Why? Are you unwilling?" "Of course I'm unwilling." Just as she was about to say this, Sun Yinglan's mind raced. She forcefully endured it and smiled apologetically. "Senior brother Li, I'm already with you." You. She gritted her teeth and changed from her shy and inexperienced self from a moment ago. She leaned into Li Ji's arms as if she had no bones and begged softly, "Are you willing to let me be with someone else? Besides, that Pei Ling is crazy and rude." Before she could finish, Li Ji suddenly stopped and lowered his head to smile at her. Before Sun Yinglan could figure out what he meant, she was suddenly slapped by a strong force. It was Li Ji who slapped her face, causing her to roll on the ground twice before stopping. L.rg. Sun Yinglan was only at the 4th level of qi refinement. How could she be Li Ji's match? Even though Li Ji did not use his full strength, the force blurred her vision and blood flowed from the corner of her mouth. Senior brother Li. A moment ago, they had been intimate, but now, he was so heartless. Sun Yinglan's anger rose subconsciously. However, when she looked up and saw Li Ji's expression, she immediately stopped and did not dare to say anything. Li Ji looked down from above and found a handkerchief from somewhere. He wiped his hands carefully and said without looking up, "Tch, I'm here to instruct you to do something, not to discuss it with you, understand?" Sun Yinglan only hesitated for a moment before he raised his foot and stepped on her face, crushing her without any mercy. "There are at least 80,000 if not 100,000 pieces of trash like you in the outer sect. Do you think you can toy with me just by seducing me? If not for the fact that I still need you to do something, I would have extracted your soul and fed it to the crow spirits." Li Ji crossed his arms and looked down at her. There was no infatuation in his eyes, only disdain. "If you can't do this in 3 days, try me." Sun Yinglan was shocked, angry, and afraid. She could feel that Li Ji did not have any feelings for her. Even though he was taking advantage of her just now, he had no qualms about killing her at any time. Under such circumstances, how could she dare to refuse? She endured the endless humiliation and sobbed. "Senior brother Li, senior brother, don't worry. I'll definitely listen to you." Li Ji narrowed his eyes and looked at her for a while. Suddenly, he smiled. His killing intent and coldness disappeared and turned into a casual friendliness. He even helped her up diligently and wiped the dirt on Sun Yinglan's face. He said softly, "Look at your little face. Why is it like this? It makes my heart ache." If Sun Yinglan had heard such sympathetic words just now, she would definitely be overjoyed. However, at this moment, she could not help but shiver when Li Ji acted like he was gentle and sweet. After a while, the door of the small courtyard opened. Li Ji looked around with a satisfied expression. His gaze lingered on a bush not far away before he left with a faint smile. After waiting for a while, seeing that there was no movement in the small courtyard, the trembling Pei Hongnian crawled out from behind the bushes and looked in the direction that Li Ji left with lingering fear. This Li Ji's cultivation level was so high. He had clearly pasted 2 breath-concealing talismans on himself and hid in the bushes. He held his breath and tried his best to weaken his existence, but he was seen through at a glance. Pei Hongnian secretly envied the other party's strength. He composed himself and stepped forward to knock on the door carefully. In the courtyard, Sun Yinglan's face was pale as she lay on the ground covered in blood. When she heard the knock on the door, she could not help but shudder. She hurriedly tidied herself up and took out her clothes from her storage bag to wear. She quickly tidied up her hair before running to the door and forming a hand seal to activate the array. However, after the array formation was activated, she saw that it was Pei Hongnian with his fawning smile. "You trash, why haven't you gotten lost?" Pei Hongnian was used to being ordered around by her. Although he was sad, he still smiled apologetically. "Junior sister Yinglan, I'm worried about you." "You're worried?" Sun Yinglan suddenly slapped him on the face and shouted, "You're only at the 4th level of qi refinement. What's the use of worrying about me? You trash, other than saying something worthless, what else can you do? Get lost. Get lost immediately. Junior sister." Pei Hongnian was at a loss for words. Just as he was about to say something, he suddenly noticed the injuries on her face and could not help but be shocked. "Did that seem your brother?" Sun Yinglan gave him another slap. Scram. The scenery in front of him rippled, and Sun Yinglan disappeared. She closed the array again. Pei Hongnian was both disappointed and sad. He paced around the door for a while before leaving unhappily. In the small courtyard, Sun Yinglan's expression was dark, and her eyes were filled with resentment as she stared at his back. After he completely disappeared, she gritted her teeth and thought of a countermeasure. That bastard Li Ji. He's so powerful, and his cousin is the trusted aide of the inner sect master. He's not someone I can provoke. Even if I report him to the disciplinary hall, I'll only get them to fine him some spirit stones. Moreover, if I do this, I'd completely offend the other party. If Li Ji hardened his heart and did not care about the fine, she would not be able to withstand it if he killed her to feed his crow spirits. Therefore, she could only accept this loss. Not only that, but it was also best not to disobey the other party's instructions. So she must find a strong enough male cultivator. Thinking of how she had been carefree and sought after all these years in the outer sect, although she could not get whatever she wanted, today. Sun Yinglan felt bitter in her heart and could not help but cry. She bit her lip and thought angrily, "I've had enough of being at the mercy of others." She forced herself to calm down and suddenly thought of something. Wait. Pei Ling is still alive. What's going on with Chen Huan and the others? Why did they let this kid off? Sun Yinglan was puzzled. After all, no matter how she looked at it, Chen Huan and the others would not show mercy to Pei Ling. And how could a kid who was only at the 4th level of qi refinement and had just entered the sect escape from Chen Huan and the others? Most importantly, this Pei Ling comes from a humble background and is not very strong. How can he trouble Li Ji to personally make a move and get me to plot against him? She frowned and thought quickly. Li Ji's cousin is a disciple of Clear River faction. I heard from that trash Pei Hongnian that Miao Qingyang, the branch master of Clear River faction, has always had a grudge against Jing Shan, the branch master of Double Mulberry faction, who he has sided with. Now that Li Ji wants me to seduce Pei Hongnian's younger brother, I'm sure it's not to target Pei Hongnian. This trash is not worthy. It's most likely a grudge involving two factions. As for Pei Ling, could it be that this trash Pei Hongnian lied to me? Sun Yinglan's expression darkened. She immediately thought of Pei Hongnian's delay in introducing her to Jing Shan. Could it be that Pei Ling's background is not that simple? Or could it be that he caught senior brother Zhang's eye in some way that attracted the attention of Li Ji and the others? Pei Hongnian, this trash, bastard. Damn it, you usually say that you admire me, but in fact, when it comes to serious matters, when do you ever think of me? Indeed, no man is good. Her gaze flickered as she thought quickly for a moment before taking out her voice transmission talisman and instructing her lackeys, go and find out what Pei Hongnian's younger brother, Pei Ling, has been doing these days. Where is he now? At this moment, Pei Ling was in front of the Dharma Pavilion on an unfamiliar mountain peak. He looked up and sized up this seemingly inconspicuous three-story building. Chapter 88. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Dharma Pavilion Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. The appearance of the Dharma Pavilion was very ordinary. It looked like a three-story building in the mortal world. There were weeds everywhere, as if no one had been here for a long time. The door of the small building was tightly shut. Only the two green palace lamps at the door that were lit in the middle of the day revealed dark green lights that illuminated the area, making it look a little strange. Pei Ling looked around and did not see any guards. There were even birds nesting under the eaves, as if it was an ordinary uninhabited pavilion. His trust in Jing Shan had been reduced. As the saying went, Jiao Ni's action represented Fairy Li's intentions, so no one dared to find trouble with him. Pei Ling felt that it was not too reliable. After all, Zhou Yi was the younger brother of core disciple Zhou. Didn't he die under his saber? In a life-and-death situation, deterring a core disciple might not be a useful strategy. Moreover, he was confused about his relationship with Fairy Li. Pei Ling imagined himself as Fairy Li. As a core disciple of the holy sect, her status was noble. If a female cultivator from a small family came to forcefully dual cultivate with him, then that did not seem like a bad thing. Moreover, it was not impossible to consider giving him some benefits after sleeping with him and taking care of him. Pei Ling's expression darkened. Could that be what Fairy Li was thinking? So it was not him who slept with Fairy Li, but Fairy Li who slept with him. Holy **T. At the thought of this, he suddenly felt that he had suffered a loss. After all, that was the virginity he had painstakingly guarded for 18 years. How could Fairy Li not be responsible for him? That was what he thought. He did not dare to ask Fairy Li for compensation. In short, on the corpse cloud that returned to the outer sect, Pei Ling was racking his brains to think of how to ensure his safety next. He had the bone-forging art, the blood-malevolent saber art, the blood spiraling. Ah no, the blood ghost escape technique. In terms of survival rate, he still lacked a recovery spell. Pei Ling watched from the door for a moment before walking over tentatively. When he was 3 steps away from the door, the lamp in the palace suddenly lit up, and a powerful force swept through his body. This power was drawn but not released, as if it could crush him into powder at any time, making his hair stand on end. However, when it touched the nameplate he carried with him, it instantly disappeared. At the same time, the lights dimmed out as if nothing had happened. The door of the Dharma Pavilion opened silently. There was no scenery inside the door, only endless darkness. Pei Ling composed himself and walked in with the nameplate. When he crossed the threshold, he seemed to have passed through an invisible barrier that was like water. In front of him was an extremely vast hall. The hall was empty without much furnishings. On the left was a staircase that led up, and on the innermost wall were 3 doors. The place closest to Pei Ling had a stone tablet that was more than the height of a person. The phosphorescence on it flickered as characters were engraved on it. He looked around and took the lead to walk to the stone tablet. He saw that it was the relevant explanation of the Dharma Pavilion. There were a total of 3 levels in the outer sect's Dharma Pavilion. Disciples from the first level to the 3rd level of Qi refinement could only enter the first level. Disciples from the 4th level to the 6th level of Qi refinement could enter the 2nd level. Disciples above the 7th level of Qi refinement could enter the 3rd level. Each level was divided into 3 areas: cultivation technique, spell, and technique. In addition, if he did not spend any money after entering the pavilion for more than 2 hours, he would be forcefully thrown out by the array formation. Moreover, he would not be able to enter any of the outer sect's Dharma pavilions for the next 10 days. If he did this too often, he would be fined spirit stones. In addition, no noise or fighting was allowed in the pavilion. Moreover, the cultivation techniques and spells that everyone bought were not allowed to be spread. If anyone violated this rule, they would be fined 10 times the price if they reported it to a disciple of the sect. If they reported it to someone outside the sect, their cultivation level would be recovered, and their bones and souls would be torn apart and turned into materials. In that case, could it be that skills can be taught to outsiders? Pei Ling thought to himself. This shouldn't be a loophole. Is this intentional? One recalling that the only benefit of the holy sect was to teach the basics of various skills, he felt that his guess should be correct. As for why the Deep Sea sect did this, Pei Ling did not have the mood to think about it at the moment. He read the inscription quickly and could not wait to go to the 2nd floor. After all, the system could actively record various cultivation techniques, spells, and techniques. Even if it could only be used for cultivation after it was recorded, he would have profited greatly if he could not see the specific records. With such beautiful expectations, Pei Ling excitedly took 3 steps forward and rushed into the spell area on the 2nd floor. This was a magnificent palace that looked completely different from the outside of the Dharma Pavilion. There were at least 40 to 50 feet tall red pillars lined up, and countless red ropes hung down from the roof of the hall. There were many different types of paper money strung on the rope, and at the end was a skull. Each skull had a book in its mouth. According to the explanation of the inscription, the paper money strung on the red string was the price of the ancient book. Each piece represented 100 spirit stones. After stuffing the nameplate into the left eye of the skull, a general introduction would automatically appear on the cover of the book. If one wanted to exchange for it, one could place enough spirit stones into the right eye of the skull. The content would be entered into the nameplate within 2 breaths. System. Pei Ling walked in and realized that the system was indifferent. He immediately felt that his thoughts might fail. He did not give up and asked in his mind, "System, come out and work." The system did not respond. Alright, it failed. Pei Ling was a little disappointed. Then he casually checked the ancient books in the mouths of the nearby skulls. Blood ignition art. Consumes blood essence and erupts with strength that exceeds one's original cultivation level in a short period of time. The disadvantage is that one's vitality will be greatly damaged after using it. If one's foundation is insufficient or even damaged, it will leave behind a lifetime of trouble. One needs to cultivate the Qi and blood pill for 5,000 spirit stones. Heart bewitching technique. A mental attack that is impossible to guard against. It is extremely difficult to cultivate. It requires the use of a soul cultivation technique and the consumption of a soul accumulation pill to cultivate. 7,500 spirit stones. What kind of techniques are these? Pei Ling decisively pulled out his nameplate and looked elsewhere. After searching for a while, he saw a few familiar ones. 5 poison finger. One hit kill, like a maggot in the bone. If the user's cultivation level is insufficient and there is no antidote, he will turn into a pile of blood within an hour. It requires the use of a poison cultivation technique and 5 types of poisonous pills to cultivate. 4,700 Spirit Stones. Green Ghost Battle Body. Summon the Green Ghost Possession. Your strength will increase greatly, your defense will increase greatly, and your mental defense will increase greatly. After you master it, you can comprehend the Green Ghost mystical power. Your growth rate is extremely high. You need to combine it with body-tempering cultivation techniques, the remnant soul of the Green Ghost, and consume bone tempering pills. 8,000 Spirit Stones. Ghost Controlling Technique. Cultivate and refine ghosts. To control ghosts for your own use, you need to guide the fragrance of the soul, cultivate the soul nourishing bag, and soul crystal. 3,500 Spirit Stones. Pei Ling continued walking forward. Due to the 2-hour limit, he did not have the time to finish reading all the books. In the end, he vacillated between 3 spells. The first was the recovery technique that he had been longing for, the life absorption technique. This technique could enable one to recover from one's injuries and replenish one's blood essence, and it was extremely effective. The price was relatively friendly, only 1,800 Spirit Stones. The problem was that it would plunder the vitality of all living beings around it. Moreover, the introduction of the ancient book stated that if one cultivated in the holy sect, they would face a high fine if the vegetation around their residence withered to a certain extent. Next was the blood boiling art. This technique was different from the blood ignition art. It did not harm one's foundation and could allow one's combat strength to increase explosively in 2 hours. The power of one's strength, speed, reaction speed, and other spells would increase greatly. After it ended, one would be in a weakened state for 4 hours. The problem was that one had to cooperate with the blood cultivation technique and consume the blood essence pill to cultivate. And it is 2F** king expensive. 6,800 Spirit Stones. The last one was the withering heart technique, that he had not considered at first but had attracted his attention with its low price. Chapter 89. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Death Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios, to put it simply, the withering heart technique was a way to fake death. After mastering it, one could fake death for half an hour. During this period, he would look no different from a real corpse. Of course, he did not need to worry about being stabbed in the back. The disadvantage was that it could only be used once every 2 hours. If it was used too frequently, it would be fine at first. It was just that his bloodline would not be smooth, and his muscles and bones would be slow. He would be fine after recovering for a few days. However, if it was frequent to a certain extent, it would cause partial necrosis of the body. If he did not control himself, this necrosis would become more and more serious. In the end, he might become a half-dead zombie. Which one should I choose? Pei Ling counted the spirit stones on him and eliminated the blood-boiling art. After all, he really could not afford it. He could only think about it later. As for the life absorption technique, the price of cultivating it was too high. Moreover, based on Pei Ling's understanding of the retarded system, if it felt that the vitality around its residence was not dense enough and forcefully gifted a cultivation place with rich vitality, controlling him to run to a place that he should not go, he would die without even knowing how it happened. There were no restrictions on the cultivation of the withering heart technique. Its essence was the exquisite control of spiritual power, aura, vitality, and organs. However, it was precisely because there was no need for external help like medicinal pills that there were no shortcuts to the cultivation of the withering heart technique. As a result, it was extremely difficult to get started and difficult for Qi refinement realm cultivators to learn. However, this was not a problem for Pei Ling, who had the system. Of course, what tempted Pei Ling the most was that the withering heart technique only cost 800 spirit stones. After Pei Ling thought it through, he quickly made a decision. He took out 800 spirit stones and stuffed them into the right eye of the skull. This is it. 2 breaths had passed. He took back his nameplate from the left eye of the skull and saw that there was indeed an additional cultivation method for the withering heart art. At the same time, the system went online. Ding dong. An unknown spell from the outside world has been detected. It is being recorded. Ding dong, recording complete. Host, please name it. It's called the withering heart technique. What made Pei Ling heave a sigh of relief was that this cultivation technique was indeed purely for the use of spiritual power and did not require any external help. Dog system, you can't cheat me of this cultivation technique, right? Pei Ling put away the nameplate and looked around fearfully. Back then, when Wu Tingxi had just taken out the jade slip, the system had immediately taken the initiative to record the nameless cultivation technique. He did not expect that he could only record and exchange cultivation techniques in the Dharma Pavilion. It seemed that this place was not simple. He did not dare to stay any longer and quickly walked downstairs. When he reached the hall downstairs, he saw that there were no doors on the 4 walls. According to the inscription, he went forward to touch the stone tablet and felt dazed. When he came back to his senses, he was already standing outside the Dharma Pavilion. He identified the direction and found a deserted corner on this mountain. After checking his surroundings and confirming that there were no problems, he asked the system, I want to cultivate the withering heart art. System. Ding dong. Smart cultivation system is sincerely at your service. At this moment, in a small courtyard surrounded by flowers on shady Sephora Peak, Sun Yinglan frowned slightly as she heard a male cultivator in front of her report respectfully, Junior Sister Sun, I've found out about the current situation of Chen Huan and the others. A few days ago, they received a few missions from Spiraling Mountain City, but they were unlucky and died in the hands of a man-faced spider that appeared unexpectedly. On the other hand, the new disciple who was tricked by them into refining the soul-summoning banner, Pei Hongyan's younger brother, Pei Ling, was lucky to survive. After Pei Ling returned to the sect, he reported this matter to the disciplinary hall. The disciplinary hall specially sent people to investigate this matter. They will probably be back in 2 days. If Junior Sister wants to know more details, I'll go then. What did you say? A strange look flashed across Sun Yinglan's eyes as she interrupted him. Chen Huan and the others are dead. Then how did Pei Ling survive? The male cultivator said, Junior Sister, I'm not too sure about that. I heard that he was lucky and ran into Spiraling Mountain City first, obtaining the protection of the city lord. Sun Yinglan thought quickly and suddenly asked, what about the soul-summoning banner? Did Pei Ling obtain it? I don't think so. The male cultivator shook his head and said, it said that after Spiraling Mountain City Lord saved Pei Ling, he wanted to continue saving Chen Huan and the others. However, he was a step too late and only managed to snatch back the soul-summoning banner and other items. That soul-summoning banner is now in the hands of the city lord of Spiraling Mountain City. He said that he wanted to wait for the disciplinary hall to investigate thoroughly before making a decision. Too late. Sun Yinglan's gaze flickered as she sneered slightly. She thought to herself that he would have gone at the right time. It was probably not that the Spiraling Mountain City Lord could not save Chen Huan and the others, but that he used the man-faced spider to send those people to their deaths. In fact, the reason why Chen Huan and the others encountered the man-faced spider probably had something to do with this city lord. I see. She knew it. Pei Ling had been brought out by Chen Huan and the others. How could he come back alive? It must have been Spiraling Mountain City's city lord's plan to kill and steal the treasures, luring the man-faced spider to destroy Chen Huan and the others. However, he was afraid that under the sect's investigation, he would have to pay a huge fine for plotting against a Qi refinement stage disciple with his foundation establishment cultivation. Therefore, he left Pei Ling as the scapegoat. Sun Yinglan felt enlightened. However, after thinking about it carefully, she felt that there seemed to be some other inside information. I've never heard that the city lord of Spiraling Mountain City is related to the Clear River faction. Moreover, the deacon who went to Spiraling Mountain City to investigate will be back soon. Why did he ask me to sow discord between Pei Hongnian and Pei Ling at a time like this? She lowered her head and thought for a moment before telling the male cultivator in front of her, "Go find Pei Hongnian and get him to meet me quickly." A moment later, Pei Hongnian jogged into the courtyard. When he saw Sun Yinglan's cold expression, he did not care at all and smiled apologetically. "Junior sister, Where is your younger brother, Pei Ling?" Sun Yinglan interrupted him impatiently. Pei Hongnian was stunned and hurriedly said, "Junior sister, have you forgotten? You said that you didn't like him last time and told me to ignore him. So I haven't seen him these days. He went to look for me once and I chased him away. Do you think I don't remember what I said?" Sun Yinglan said angrily. "Do I need you to remind me? I suddenly want to see him now. Hurry up and go." "Junior sister, why are you?" Pei Hongnian was puzzled. However, before he could finish his sentence, Sun Yinglan grabbed the teacup and threw it at him. "What are you waiting for? Get lost." Pei Hongnian was shocked and did not dare to ask further. He hurriedly comforted her. Yes. I'll go and find it now. Junior sister, don't be angry. I'll go now." Seeing his flustered look, Sun Yinglan felt even more disgusted. She raised her chin at the male cultivator who was running errands. "You go too," begged Odom. Seeing that she was alone in the courtyard, her expression softened. She narrowed her eyes in thought. At this moment, in a secluded place on an unknown mountain, the systems management cultivation had just ended. Ding dong. This cultivation session is over. Thank you for using the smart cultivation system. You have ascended without a worry with a single click. I look forward to you sharing your cultivation evaluation. If you are satisfied, please give me a 5-star rating. He casually clicked on a 3-star rating. Pei Ling stretched his limbs and circulated his spiritual power on the spot to test the effect of the withered heart art. His aura quickly converged, and all the vitality in his body surged into his heart. His limbs and face began to turn abnormally pale. After a while, Pei Ling fell to the ground with a thud. His entire body was cold, and he was no longer breathing. He savored the feeling of using this technique for a while and felt that when he fell into a false death, his heart seemed to be exceptionally calm. He even felt that everything in the world was meaningless. As the saying goes, what joy is there in life? What fear is there in death? None of the spells in this netherworld sect are easy to deal with. Pei Ling realized this and frowned slightly. He undid the spell and thought to himself, the withered heart art seems to be cheap, but it seems to affect one's will. He, who wanted to hide so much, was actually not afraid of death when he used the withered heart technique. This was freaking scary. In any case, after mastering the withered heart technique, Pei Ling had nothing else to do on this mountain. Hence, he rented a corpse cloud and arrived at Elixir Peak with ease. Chapter 90. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alchemy Interlude Translator. Atlas Studios Editor. Atlas Studios. Half a day later, Pei Ling went straight to the alchemy room after purchasing some items at the Elixir Peak Market. He had collected a lot of medicinal herbs this time. He then considered the time to cultivate and planned to rent it for 10 days first. However, before it was his turn, someone squeezed over from behind and shouted while wiping his sweat, "Pei Ling." Pei Ling recognized Pei Hongnian's voice and turned around in surprise. "Senior, what is it? Come with me for a while." Pei Hongnian pulled him to a quiet place and said in a low voice, I have something to entrust to you. You must help. Tell me what it is first. Pei Ling did not comment. He felt that his relationship with this cousin was average. Last time, the other party was not even willing to lend him 10 spirit stones. If it was a small matter, he would help. If it was more troublesome, he did not have the time. Pei Hongnian said angrily, come back to Shady Sephora Peak with me to see junior sister Inglan. Son Inglan. Pei Ling frowned. What for? How would I know? Pei Hongnian said righteously. Anyway, junior sister Inglan wants to see you. Just go. Pei Ling sneered and pushed away the arm that was on his shoulder. I'm sorry, senior brother. I have something on and don't have time to meet your sweetheart. Seeing Pei Hongnian's dark expression, he asked in confusion, why are you so infatuated with that woman? Although Deer Spring City was a small place, Pei Ling remembered that the daughters of a few families were not bad looking. Sun Inglan's beauty was not unique. BVEC, why does this brother have to hang himself on this tree? Pei Hongnian's face darkened as he pointed at him and shouted, you have to go even if you don't want to. Senior, can you afford to pay the fine for a fight between outer sect disciples? Pei Ling did not take him seriously at all and said calmly, it's your business how you want to flatter Sun Inglan. I'm not interested in her at all. You. Pei Hongnian was furious. Just as he was about to say something, someone not far away suddenly said, Pei Ling, if you don't give your brother face, don't you want to know the outcome of Chen Huan's matter? Pei Ling's pupils constricted. He turned around and saw the gorgeously dressed Sun Inglan walking over slowly. She said in a low voice, the people from the disciplinary hall who went to Spiraling Mountain City to investigate will be back tomorrow. Pei Ling, do you really think no one knows what you've done? Junior sister Inglan, why are you here personally? Pei Hongnian could not help but be stunned when he saw her. Sun Inglan ignored him and walked to Pei Ling. She said slowly, Pei Ling, I want to see you for your own good. I'm not meeting you for your own good. Pei Ling narrowed his eyes and looked at her. He said calmly, senior sister is a smart person. You should know that I'm not my senior brother. I won't fall for your tricks. If you keep pestering me, I'm afraid everyone will lose face. Go further away. Sun Inglan turned around and instructed Pei Hongnian. Seeing that he seemed to be unwilling to dawdle, her expression darkened as he berated, you're like trash. Get lost. After chasing Pei Hongnian away, she changed to a gentle expression and nodded slightly at Pei Ling, that's right. I know that you're not a lecherous piece of trash like Pei Hongnian, so I don't plan to deal with you the same way that I deal with him. Let me tell you about the benefits. The Pei family in Deer Spring City is insignificant in the holy sect. As your senior, I can't support you in terms of cultivation level and strength. So in the long run, it's best if you join a faction. You're so well informed that you have someone backing you up when something happens. Pei Ling's heart skipped a beat when he heard this. He looked at Pei Hongnian in the distance and thought to himself, could it be that this senior brother has ulterior motives for pestering Sun Inglan? After all, he had not met many people from the living world since he entered the sect. It makes no sense that Pei Hongnian is really a bootlicker. And he's boot-licking such a low-level girl. Seeing his silence, Sun Inglan's smile deepened. She took a step forward and fell into his arms. Junior brother, do you think? Before she could finish, Pei Ling had already vigilantly moved back a distance. His spiritual power surged, ready to strike. He said in a low voice, senior sister, do you mean that you're here to invite me on behalf of a certain faction? He did not have any good impression of Sun Inglan, nor did he trust her at all. When he noticed that she seemed to be using various methods to rub against him, he instinctively suspected that she wanted to kill him. While he was moving, he quietly adjusted the life-extinguishing blade to a convenient position to draw it. After all, Pei Ling did not feel safe in a sect that could solve everything with spirit stones. Miao Qingyan and the other two's actions made him believe that if the situation was not right, he had to attack with all his might. I'm representing myself. Sun Yinglan's expression froze. She held back her anger and stood firm. She winked at him and said sweetly, for example, if Junior Brother is interested in spiraling Mountain City, I can tell you the results of the disciplinary hall's investigation now. She said this to show Pei Ling that she was well informed. However, Pei Ling had already latched onto Jing Jingshan's thigh, so he was naturally unmoved at this moment. He spat, "Senior sister, if there's nothing else, please forgive me for not being able to accompany you." He was about to leave. "Stop right there." Sun Yinglan's expression darkened as she opened her arms to block him. She shouted, "Pei Ling, don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. Do you think you can do whatever you want just because you were lucky enough to enter the holy sect? Let me tell you, there are many outer sect disciples in the holy sect. You're just the most inconspicuous one among them. If you're a loner and self-righteous, you'll definitely regret it." Seeing that Pei Ling ignored her and wanted to leave, Sun Yinglan was shocked. She went forward and hugged him. "You." Before she could finish his sentence, she realized that she was pushed away by a strong force. Pei Ling threw her out decisively. With a flip of his wrist, he had already pulled out the life-extinguishing blade. He faced her warily and retreated step by step to a distance that he thought she could not ambush him. Only then did he turn around and leave in a hurry. Junior Sister Yinglan. In the distance, Pei Hongnian watched them intently. When he saw this scene, he could not help but be shocked. For a moment, he did not bother to stop Pei Ling and hurriedly went forward to help Sun Yinglan. "Junior sister, are you all right?" Sun Yinglan bent down and stared at Pei Ling's back. She suddenly grabbed his collar and shouted hysterically, "How is it? Didn't you see? Pei Ling molested me." Pei Hongnian was stunned. But what? Sun Yinglan sneered. "He molested me and I pulled him to detain him, but he actually attacked me. You just watched from the side and did nothing. Are you still a man? Junior sister, don't be angry. I'll report this to the disciplinary hall now." Pei Hongnian was at a loss and said subconsciously, "When the time comes, the sect." Sun Yinglan scolded, "You piece of trash. What's the point of reporting it to the disciplinary hall? It's just punishing him with some spirit stones. The disciplinary hall will collect the spirit stones and not compensate me. When the matter gets out, everyone will laugh at me. Are you satisfied?" As she spoke, she started crying again. "On account of you, I thought that although he was rash and rude, he was still your younger brother. So when I heard about spiraling Mountain City, I planned to reveal some information to him so that he could avoid this calamity. I didn't expect him to be so crazy." Seeing Pei Hongnian looking at her blankly as if he did not know what to do, she felt bitter and her tears fell even faster. "You good for nothing, you don't care about me at all. If you really have me in your heart, remember this well. It was Pei Ling who molested me, do you hear me?" Pei Ling could not be bothered with the story between his cousin and the scrounger. He queued up again and asked for a D.grade alchemy room. After entering, he checked his surroundings as usual. After confirming that there were no problems, he moved the original alchemy furnace in the alchemy room to a corner and replaced it with the alchemy furnace that Jing Jingshan had given him for free. Then, he checked the herbs he had just bought carefully before calling the system in his mind. "System, I want to refine pills.